Ladies, gentlemen, family, put your hands together for Bridget.
My kids are 8 years apart, so when my daughter was in middle school, my son was in kindergarten, and getting ready in the morning was often hectic and chaotic. The teenager didn't want to get out of bed, and the kindergartner still needed a lot of help. So by the time that we made it to the car, most mornings, we were already stressed out. And this story takes place on a day that was pretty much started like that. And as we were walking to the car, my daughter noticed the very large blue binder that my son was carrying. Now, this binder contained a carefully crafted collection of Pokemon cards that had been curated over years. And my daughter had decided that she was too old for Pokemon cards, and so she had given them to her brother. And he was taking them to school. So as we were pulling out of the driveway, she said to me, "Mom, he can't take those cards to school." And I said, "Sure he can." And she said, "No, you don't understand. He's going to trade away the good ones." And he hears this and pipes up in the back seat and says, "No, I won't." And she turns around and says, "Shut up." And I said, "Don't talk to your brother like that." And she said, "Mom, you don't get it. You don't understand. He's going to trade away all the good ones." And so I say to her, "Honey, you gave him the cards. They are his now. You no longer have control over the cards. And if he decides to trade away the good ones, he can do that." And her anger is rising. And so she tries to explain to me how I don't understand, and I am calmly trying to tell her that you don't have control. These are not your cards anymore, and it bursts. And I hear those words that every parent of a teenager hears at some point. "Fuck you." And so I respond with a firm foot on the brake pedal. The car screeching to a halt blocks away from the middle school. And I say, "Get out of the car." And she says, "But Mom," I said, "Get out of the car." So she slams the door, and I drive away, and I hear this little voice in the back seat that says, "I love you, Mom." So I dropped the kindergartner off at school. Now, he does not completely understand what the argument was about. However, he knows that his beloved sister does not want him to take the Pokemon cards to school. And so he makes the decision to leave the binder in the car. And I stew all day about what discipline is appropriate for such lack of propriety, for complete disregard for manners. And when I get home, it's obvious that she too has been waiting for the verdict. Her head is low, and she says, "I'm sorry, Mom." And I said to her, "I know you are, hon. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to write 2 papers. Each of them are going to be 3 pages, double-spaced, normal margins of A quality with specific examples. One is going to be titled, "Why I Love My Brother." And the other is going to be titled, "Why My Mom is Awesome." And if you don't write those papers, you're going to be grounded from everything that requires electricity for a month. She wrote the papers. And when I read them, I cried. Because she got it. The Pokemon cards are far less important than her brother or her mother. And how many of us lose that lesson? I know there are times where I get upset about things that really don't matter. Like when we get upset about scratches on the car instead of being grateful that our loved one is okay, or we yell about toothpaste in the sink or socks on the floor. We rail about a broken glass or spilt milk. losing track of the loved one that is right in front of us. And it's at times like that that I try to remember the little one in the back seat that simply loves. And that all of those other things are just Pokemon cards. And it becomes very easy to leave the binder in the car. Thank you.